nice view of the energy in the room. Wow. Wow. Well, you guys can see, this is our plan up here to dominate the world, okay? This is how it's going to start. We're going to start here, then work over here, and then kind of end up over here. And I want to real quick, if this works, hold on. Gotta get on this side of it. There we go. Okay, so real quick, what I want to do is introduce each of our organizations and who will be kind of running that organization. And if they, I know Ms. B wants to say something possibly, and if any of you else want to jump up here and say anything about your vision for your particular group, okay? But first of all, CTSO, we talked about it last week in our big meeting, stands for Career Technical Student Organization. At your home schools, you guys have extracurricular activities, you have sports, you have band, you have whatever. We don't have that here. So instead, we have CTSO organizations instead. That's in lieu of, and so that's where you guys can get involved to kind of enhance your experience here at the Career Center. And I've got a couple of students later that want to talk to you about their experience here, and some of our instructors are going to kind of talk about their individual groups and kind of how that's going to play out. So first, HOSA. So Ms. B, come on up here and tell us what HOSA stands for, what HOSA does, and what your vision for your group is this year.
The HOSA, yes. Actually, HOSA used to stand for Health Occupation Students of America, but last year they included students from Canada and New Mexico, so it's no longer just America, so they call it HOSA, Future Health Professionals. And the potential of this organization is just amazing. When I was at Nationals 2 years ago and last year also, you see all these young students coming up on the stage and for medals, and you see that these are the future doctors, the future dentists, the future psychologists, orthopedic surgeons, and it's just amazing the level that they can go to at the high school level. So imagine if they are doing all that when they are just 12th graders, what they will do when they go to college and become postgraduate students. I'm really excited this year because this is our third year, but we have grown very fast, and I'm looking forward to combining with the the expertise of Mr. Gallagan, Mr. Grimes, and Mr. Poole, Mr. Warner, and then go further together to rule the world.
Yes, we are going to rule the world. Give it up for Ms. B. Hey, real quick, since we're talking about health occupation, do you know what you call a medical student who graduates last in his class or her class? Doctor, right? Just doctor out there. Just kidding. So thank you, Mrs. B. And last year they were very successful. Their first 2 years, they went to the national competition in Anaheim, California last year. Ms. B, awesome. The year before that was Disney World. So they go to some pretty cool places. FFA, Mr. Grimes, you want to say anything about kind of how you guys are? We have a north and a south kind of set up for FFA and what you guys do and that kind of stuff.
Again, FFA used to be called Farmers of America. However, it is now it's called FFA because it's not just for farmers and agriculture. There's leadership organizations. It's the largest student organization in the world. We do have a split FFA program with North and South Campus. Most of our home schools have them. And there's lots of opportunities and scholarships that are available for students to get involved with it. And our program, we get involved in competitions or some of the other CTSOs, and we do forestry and aquatics and different competitions with that. We're also involved with the Envirothon, which we actually went to state last year and for the last so we get involved in some of the outdoor things, but there's all sorts of other competitions, leadership, and things like that. So I know there's some students who might already be involved in some of the other home schools. And what I'm looking forward to is that our year-end awards ceremony, we have a hot roast.
And Mr. Grimes, where is the FFA National Convention? Is it Louisville?
I'm trying to think where it is this year. I think it's Louisville this year.
Okay.
They switched it around.
Yeah, right.
And now it's Louisville.
And you guys have done really well in the Envirothon the last couple of years as well. So, one thing you'll find, and thank you, Mr. Grimes. Give it up for Mr. Grimes. The plan for world domination, here's the thing. Before, we were kind of all splintered off in our little groups, and we were dominating the world separately. I figured now, if we bring everyone together, the synergy that's going to take place, the world domination it'll be unstoppable. And that's why we're coming together to do it. So, Skills USA, Mr. Poole is with our senior group only, and Mr. Warner, our law enforcement instructor, obviously is not here today. So I'm going to just drop a couple lines for Skills USA, because I actually have a Skills USA shirt on today. Some of my students actually compete in it as well. Some Mr. Moore's, yes, a couple of yours. So it's kind of one of those deals where if you're outstanding in what you do, you might be able to do some cross-curricular stuff as well and jump in some of these other organizations and just help us in our plan to dominate the world. But Skills USA it used to kind of cover a lot of the trade industries. However, it's kind of expanded now, where it's pretty much anything we do, there's a competition for it. And last year, the national competition was in Louisville. It's going to be there the next 4 years. And before that was Kansas City. But our students have done really, really well. Mr. Poole has had several national champions, as well as many state champions. And so Skills USA is a wonderful organization as well. And so law enforcement, you guys will know more about that. Plus, I think you guys do something called Explorers as well in your group. So Mr. Warner will be giving you the 411 on that soon. Do I have Mrs. Vance or Ms. Olson here possibly? Maybe not. I don't know if they're going to be here today. So I'll let them at some other point explain FCCLA, and that's I'm not sure what it stands for, to be honest with you, but that's their student organization. And then BPA is what Mr. Moore and I, Mrs. Canning and Mr. Hoodapole. Mrs. Canning is at Big Walnut, and Mr. Hoodapole is at Delaware Hayes High School in their satellite programs. We do Business Professionals of America, and so what we do is we tend to do the more like the office-based, the computer-based, the technology-based, networking-based type programs. And also, it's another organization where we've really just gone in and kicked tail and done well, and brought a lot of trophies home over the last few years. Last year's national competition was in Anaheim, California, and the year before that was Indy. The year before that was Disney World. The year before that was Chicago. Next year we're going to Boston, then back to Disney World. So there's some really cool destinations that if you make it through to the national level, there's some cool places that you guys can go and be a part of. Okay, so our meetings, here's how it's going to run this year. We're going to meet the second Monday of each month, except for today. That's always not the second Monday, but we'll start in September. Each group will run the meeting each month. So BPA will do the first month. We'll run the meeting, and then next month the host will run it, and then we kind of are going to go on a schedule. And it will be the officers for each group that will run it. We're going to cover something called a brief guide to world domination, how to live a remarkable life in a conventional world. Everyone turn around. Maddie, raise your hand in the back. Maddie, raise your hand real tall. That's Maddie Arsenault, and she is a graduate in 2013. Was that right, Maddie? 14. You're getting so old I can't keep track of the years anymore. So Maddie actually went to Columbus State for a year and is transferring to Kent State this year. And while she was at Columbus State, one of her professors introduced this guide, and she sent it over to me. She's like, you should really go over this with your students. Awesome. And so we introduced it this year. We're going to introduce it this year, and it's a really non-traditional look at how to be a good leader, how to take advantage of all the different things that life has to offer you, but in a way that might be a little more understandable for you all than it is for people our age. So we're trying to break it down to where it's a little more attractive to you. The 4 parts of that world domination plan are this. The first part is what you'll learn in these pages. We'll talk about that later. The second part is the unremarkable average versus the remarkable few. We don't want to be average. We want you guys to be excellent and to rise above the crowd. And then the next part says the crowded world and the way to break through the noise. So there's everyone that's average. There's this noise out there, right? And everyone is used to the average things that go on in the world. We're going to try to talk about what you can do to break through that average noise. And then the plan of attack and how to overcome challenges. Everyone's going to face an obstacle or have a challenge in their life. So we're going to talk about how to overcome those challenges. CTSOs basically equal leadership training. We want to develop leaders. We want all of you in this room to leave here and to lead in your field, in your class, wherever you are. We want you to be the leaders. And so in order to attend the national competitions, which you guys heard us talk about, we want to put you through a leadership program. So each one of your groups is going to basically meet a few standards, and that's by doing so, the school is going to give money for your national trip, up to $1,000 for a national trip. It's usually about a $1,400 trip on average or something like that. So there'll be a little bit of fundraising involved, but the school will pay for most of it as long as you do these things. And so each group will elect a group of student leaders or officers. We will participate and help lead monthly meetings, which we're doing. We'll participate in a CTSO service project. This year is going to be Celebrate My Drive. It doesn't mean that's all you have to do, but we're going to do one large group project that's Celebrate My Drive. It's a online sign up of people to make safe driving commitments. And then participate in a CTSO fundraiser. We're going to sell Ohio Walsh gift cards this spring. And then finally, participate in student competitions. And that's something that you guys will all find out you're all really going to enjoy. And we've been very, very successful at doing that. If you want to become an officer, who knows right now, raise your hand if you want to become an officer in your group. You want to be elected president, vice president, secretary, treasurer in your group. Great, put those hands up, don't be shy. Leaders aren't afraid, leaders step out there. Good job, okay? So I appreciate that. Each group's going to have different positions for their election. They'll be called maybe something different. You probably all have a president and a vice president, but you'll have different names maybe. The officers will lead their group, and twice per year will lead these meetings. If you're interested in being an officer, you need to let your instructor know by September 15th. And they're going to let me know because it might be individually up to their group, but we're going to make videos of your election speech. And then we're going to play those videos, not in this big group because you all can't vote for each other, but in your individual club. And then at that point, on September 25th, when we play those videos, you will elect officers for your group. And leaders will be introduced to everybody at this large group meeting on October the 12th. So what's in it for you? WIIFM, what's in it for me? Okay? What's in this for you? You're going to get a great experience. You're going to have amazing leadership training, which I'm going to introduce somebody in a second to talk about that. And you're going to be part of a group, part of a cross-curricular group. You will compete in your area of expertise and be recognized. Our students, I'm telling you guys, anything we compete in, we usually take home the trophies. We take home the gold. And that's a lot of fun. If you go to compete, if you win, it's even more fun. Okay? And then we get to take trips. Apparently, I need to spell better across the United States to compete. There's some pretty nice. I've never been clapped for before when I misspelled a word, so I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so here's what I want to let me back up real quick. Here we go. I want to bring up Mrs. Reinhardt first because she has things going on in her day. So Mrs. Reinhardt is our, I always get this name wrong, enrollment coordinator. Okay, and she also has taken on the role of our CTSO's leadership organization as well. She basically will have a conference each year that will train our leaders, and I'm going to let her talk a little bit about that really quick.
Sure. Thanks. I work with the CTSO organizations for both North and South Campus, and I was involved in CTSOs when I was in high school. I see a lot of value to them, and it's not just going to the competitions, it's not just traveling, but it's the leadership opportunities that you have a chance to take part in that are here within the building. So I work with an outside presenter who comes in, and actually Duke and Madison, who are going to talk to you in just a minute, they actually took part in this as well. It's an all-day leadership training. We're going to have it right here at South Campus. So anyone who is elected as an officer or in a leadership role in their respective organization has the opportunity to take part in this. It's going to be from 8 o'clock until a little bit after 2. So you're here the entire day. It's part of your school day. It's going to be interactive, fun. We do activities related to team building, strong and effective communication, working with people on an officer team. We're actually going to work this year on how to organize and run an official meeting. What are the different techniques and steps that you need in order to do that? And then after lunch, we spend a little bit of time planning 1 or 2 different activities you would like to do within your student organization. So this is going to happen in early October. We're still solidifying that date. So right after your elections at the end of September, this is going to be kind of the event that kicks off your year. So again, it's going to be fun, interactive, exciting. We'll work with your teachers. It's an excused day out of your classes. But we hope it's a valuable experience for you to kind of lay the foundation for those leadership skills you're going to need for the rest of the year.
Thank you, Mrs. Reiner. How about a round of applause for Mrs. Reiner? Duke and Madison, will you guys come on up here really quick? And while you guys are coming up, did I miss introducing, I don't know, I see some faces back there that I don't have, I'm not able to put names to. Did I miss introducing anybody that should be up here for FFA or anything like that? Okay, and I saw, can we introduce your group too? Your two people that are here? Can we just introduce them at least?
Yeah, sure. I actually don't know but we're going to have a HOSA meeting after this meeting. So I have the state advisor, that's just for the state of Ohio, that's Wendy Nichols. And that is a state officer. Do you want to just...
Come on up here.
Come on up here. You can introduce yourself. Actually, the reason why I wanted a state officer to be here is because he's an officer. He is just a student like you guys. Are you a senior? So he's a senior and he's done this last year. What is the value for him? Like, why is he doing it, and what's the satisfaction that he gets out of it? So, if you want to say a couple of words.
My name is Brett. First off, hi.
What's the value from?
From Ohio High Point. If you've never heard of that, it's about an hour away. It's a lot smaller, in my opinion, but that's just me.
It's just, what do you? I mean, you're an officer, so.
What
you're trying to get
becoming an officer?
Yeah.
I mean, it all starts local. You start with local office, you run, and then you go up to the state, and it's really just a lot of fun. It's just staying involved and staying nice and staying positive. And really, it's just a lot of fun to be nice to everyone.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Brett.
Round of applause for Brett. Thank you. So this is Madison Arsenault, this is Duke Vu, and they're both mad at me because they got here, they're like, we're speaking in front of everybody? I didn't tell them that because I'm afraid they wouldn't come if I told them that. So, but they both graduated 2 years ago in 2014 class, and so I asked them to come back today, and I'm going to do a little interview with them, and just so you guys can get a feel of what we're selling you today is not just us as teachers selling this to you. They as students can tell you the benefits of those type of things. So, Madison, I'm going to ask you first. Can you tell us what you competed in, how you did, where you got to go, maybe some of the friendships and those type of things you developed from that?
Okay, so my junior year, I competed in graphic design, and I ended up winning the regionals, and so I went on to states. And then the top 3 get to go to nationals, and then I got first, and so I went to nationals, and then I got 13th. So I didn't make it to the second round. In order to make it to the second round, you have to get top 10. So in that process, I had a lot of help working on like presentation skills. I had a lot of help from people who work throughout the school and stuff, so that was a really good experience for me and helped me a lot the following year as well, when I competed in web design with Duke and someone who was a year below, Hunter. So we were all like excited because we like are amazing and we wanted to like win nationals, and we're really humble. We wanted to win nationals, and so we did win regionals, and then we went on to states, and for web design it's different. You have to get top 2 instead of top 3. Well, we tied for second and then lost the tiebreaker. So we were literally a half point away from going to the national competition that year. But it was still okay because we got a lot closer, and like because of that team, me and Duke became really close, and he actually lives in Germany, and he's now like visiting Ohio, and he's staying with me like because we're best friends. And we just met in Amsterdam too, so that's cool.
And you sat on some bench in Amsterdam that was like in some movie, right?
Fault in Our Stars.
The Fault in Our Stars. Even at the bench on The Fault in Our Stars, they have a picture from that bench together. So, but they're best buddies now. And Hunter is the other guy, and so they built like a relationship that's going to last for a lifetime. And it's pretty awesome to see how they've done that. Hey Duke, you also competed, you guys were both involved as officers as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your role as an officer, what you were, the process to how you got there, and maybe what you got out of that?
Okay. So as an officer, I want to start out with what you got or what you get out of it. It's a great leadership experience, and it's just great to be able to talk to a large group of people and help them through this difficult and this new process of being a CTSO member. All of this can be very overwhelming because, at least for BPA and for Skills USA, you get to pick what you compete in, whether it's graphic design, web design. So the leaders help you kind of find the passion and how to go about it, how to prepare for it. And we held those monthly meetings that just were basically like leadership workshops. We help you to become better leaders.
Tell them where you went to nationals a couple years ago, what you did when, as a leader, you had to do a little, remember in Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Tell them a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, I went to Indianapolis with Elijah, and it's one of our classmates. I tagged along as a BPA officer, and we got to do all those leadership training and workshops there, which was amazing. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. It's amazing because you get to meet all those other officers and leaders from all those different states. You get to exchange information and experience, and it's just huge. You get so much out of it.
And Duke was he was our president of our BPA local chapter. Did a really good job just leading other students. What's I think the number one takeaway from all this, guys, is this. It's, we talked about competing, we talked about the leadership training, and all this stuff. But in my opinion, the number one thing that you're going to get out of this are relationships. We could have had probably 10 other people standing up here if they weren't starting school today, or people were in other states right now going to college. But you would have seen the bond that these guys have developed from that. And that's what I want you guys to experience as well, and the bond that you're going to build, not only in your lab, but if you take advantage of the CTSOs, it's going to be amazing. So let's give Duke and Maddie a round of applause. Hey, real quick, before you guys sit down, does anyone have any questions for these students? Serious questions for these students about this opportunity and anything that they've talked about today, or anything you might be wondering? And you may not know what questions to ask yet. Anyone have a question? Okay, I should have planned a couple of questions. Here, Lindsay's got one.
What was the competitions like for you?
So explain like local, regional, national, and state.
Were you scared? Were you excited?
Yeah, regionals feels a little more laid back. Where'd we go, like a church or something? Mount Vernon. And you're nervous and stuff because you have to present in front of judges, and that's kind of intimidating, but usually the judges are pretty nice, and usually they make you feel good about yourself when you walk out. At least that's the experiences I had, I think. But it's fun, and most of the day, honestly, you're just like getting prepared for your presentations or hanging out with your friends or eating. So
about the eating experiences, aren't they pretty good?
the eating experiences are really good because you get to miss school, first of all, and then you go to B-dubs or something with all your friends, and then you bring home all your trophies. So it's fun. And States it's at the convention center, so it feels a little more scary and legit. So it's cool though. I fell asleep in a chair and they took pictures of me. That's kind of how States goes. One time we hooked up a TV to someone's laptop because we're computer geeks in our lab, so they were watching Batman. So stuff like that you can do. It's fun though, makes for a fun day. And then the national competitions are just super cool. When you go to Disney World and you get to have 11 pools where you're staying and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, so you should do it.
Any other questions? There's a good question. Thank you. Round of applause for Maddie and for Lindsay. For sake of time, what I'm going to do is, Maddie's been head state this year, and she's going to be taking communications and dance, I believe, and then Duke is heading to the University of Toronto, which is a really hard school to get into, and he's pretty smart dude, and so he's going to be moving on, and so these guys will be visiting us periodically as well, and we'll be looking forward to hearing how you guys do. So, round of applause for Maddie and Duke. Thank you so much for your time. Mrs. Lucas, would you like to comment on anything? I saw you come up here, and we wanted to hear from you anyways.
I gotta run, but
Yep.
I want to just say a few things about career tech student organizations. What I think is important and has been mentioned, but some things have been left out that I think are important for you to think about along the way. The journey going to competition, to me, is more important than the actual competition. You're thinking, what is she talking about? But the journey to competition is where I see the most growth in our students. And that growth comes from that relationship piece where they have to run things by other people that are passionate about the same thing they're passionate about. So that journey involves a lot of communication skills, where you're bouncing ideas off of other people in your field. You are creating this communication skill that is like none other. And I gotta tell you, when we talk to employers, a couple of things they look at is, first, do you show up? But second, can you communicate? Because if you can communicate your skill, you are doing better than most. So those soft skills, those communication skills, become very important in this competition arena, but very important in building your relationships and networking with other students in this field. The other thing that I think is important that we haven't talked about is building your resume and your portfolio. Because quite frankly, you're building your resume right now. You're here and you're building your resume right now. The Career Tech Student Organization is a bonus to building your resume in a positive way, because people pay attention to that. Oh, you were in that career, you were in Business Professionals of America. Oh my gosh, you were in part of FFA, so was I. And they look at that and they pay attention to it. And they ask, what did you do there? Were you a leader there? Were you a participant? What did you participate in? What community? Because they know that you're community-minded. They know that you're making a difference in your community, and they know you're making a difference in your school. And if you can do that, they feel confident that you can do a lot of other things for them as an employer. So let's not forget that those are so important along the way, those pieces. But they're so beneficial to you and when you go out to find that post-secondary job. That's all I can say. Thanks, guys.
Round of applause for Ms. Lucas. And Ms. Lucas is right, because I just thought about this. You know, Duke's going to go into business and Maddie's communications, and Maddie's going to be managing her own communications firm someday. Duke's going to he'll own his own company someday. And they were part of one of these student organizations, and they know about them. So like FFA is the largest one in the world. You've got Skills, you got HOSA, you got BPA, FC, all these. So you're talking hundreds of thousands of kids each year that have been through these competitions. That's an amazing network right there. You know, to improve your net worth, you improve your network, and you guys are improving your network by doing this. And so these are going to be an awesome opportunity for you. Mrs. V, did you want to bring Mrs.
Yes. The reason why is because Wendy Nichols, she's a state advisor, but I think she's worked with BPA and she's worked with Skills USA also. And the other thing I want her to come up and talk is because I'm a local advisor. So I'm learning the ropes, and the thing that I want to make you guys understand that this is student-led. I'm an advisor, but you are the ones who are going to do the whole thing. So, Wendy?
Thank you. Yes, I'm Wendy Nichols, and I'm currently the state advisor for HOSA, but I've also worked with FFA. I'm an honorary member of FFA, and I was a local advisor for BPA. I started my teaching career, ironically, here in Delaware. I taught at the Delaware Career Center, the North Campus, for a few years before I moved over to Tolles in Plain City. So I am a big advocate of career tech education, and I love the CTSOs. First of all, they're just fun. So far, I've been advisor since March. We've taken our Ohio delegation to Anaheim, California. spent a week in Anaheim. How bad can that be? And then middle of September, we're going to be going to Washington, D.C. for the Washington Leadership Academy. So literally in a matter of months, we're taking students from coast to coast across the country. Who doesn't want to have that kind of experience? And I'll just briefly echo what the last two people said. CTSOs, you guys are your career centers, football team, basketball team. You are the ones that are the people that compete. The difference is all of you are going to go pro. And as much as we love our high school football teams and basketball teams, realistically, how many of those students can go pro? Every one of you is going to go pro in your area. And it's going to be the experiences that you get from your CTSO right now that are going to make you that professional.
Awesome.
That's great advice, and I love how you put that. Everyone's going to go pro in here, so that should be the slogan this year. We're all going to go pro. And I heard, this reminds me of a statement Ms. Lucas said, and Ms. Lucas, I'm probably going to butcher this. She tweeted this out. She said that good teams, coaches hold their players accountable. On great teams, all the players hold each other accountable. So why we've been so successful is because we've had great student leadership. You don't wait for your instructors to tell you to do the right thing. You do it, you lead, you take the leadership. And that's the vision that we want you to get coming out of here today. And so I know we've thrown a lot at you, we've talked a lot to you, and we appreciate your attention today. So what is next? What is next? Do you have something else you want to say?
No.
Okay, so what's next? Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to meet as an individual CTSO group, and so that means that HOSA, you're going to get together in here. BPA, we're going to go to 501, and just follow me if you don't know where I'll take you there. Skills, you guys will just go back to your classroom today because it's just you. You may not have any leadership today, so we might have to wait until the next meeting. FCCLA is not here. Did I miss anybody? FFA will go back to your classroom and talk about maybe what specifically now this means to each of your groups. But we're going to get together like this each month, so bring up that school spirit piece, and then head back and talk business each of our groups. So between now and September 14th, our next meeting, I think it's actually the 15th. We need to, maybe it is the 14th. The 15th is when nominations for officers need to be made by. You need to read part 1 of the Guide to World Domination. Your instructors have that information for you. So they'll either give you a packet or they'll show you a link to it. And it's 29 pages, so we don't want you to read the whole thing at once. We're going to have you break it down into chunks throughout the year. So we'll read part 1. The next time we get together, we're going to have the BPA group is going to present information on it. And basically what is next is to rule the world. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? To rule the world. And so with that, does this group have any questions for me? Or any of the HOSA, FFA, Skills, FCCLA, Ms. Lucas, anybody? Our students, anyone, any questions? We just want to get out of here. All right, let's do this. Oh, wait, hold on, there's a question. I feel like Oprah right now when I walk over here with the mic.
Are there any fees included to be part of this?
That is a wonderful question. I'm glad you asked that. So there are fees. However, I think this, tell me if I'm not correct, all you, my fees are included in my student fees. Are yours as well, Mrs. B? Okay, so your fees are probably already taken care of. There may be like a small chunk that we have to raise for fundraising, but each instructor, I think, will let you know what your specific fees are for your club. So if there are fees, they're minimal, you know. So, but there are fees, but again, most of them have been taken care of up to this point. So you'll just pay it in your school fees. It's already in there. So good question. But the trips we take, the regional trip, the state trip, the national trip, they all cost a lot of money. The national trip costs the most, so that's why we do the fundraiser in the spring to help raise money to help offset the costs for that. So, any other questions? God bless America. All right, any other questions? Okay, here's what I want to do at this point. HOSA, you stay here. Law enforcement, why don't you guys go ahead and rise up and you guys can head back to your classroom. Thanks for joining us, law enforcement. Please don't write me a ticket because I teach you guys about donuts. All right, and FFA, you guys pop up and you guys can head back to your classroom. Mr. Moore, could you lead our group over to FO1 or 501? That's Kelly's old So Mr. Moore is going to take the networking and the digital design class. If you guys will pop up and follow the guy in the green shirt, he's going to take you back to 501, where we're going to meet next. And I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. V so she can take over for her meeting.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gallagan. And as the seats get vacant, can the host participants come up in the front seats?
So you want us just to leave here?
Oh, no, we should probably record the other meeting too.
Oh.
How do I stop recording?